Sound. Hey YouTube, how's it going? I'm on Instagram Live right here. Today I'm chatting about gaining functional strength and gaining strength towards a specific goal. Now, the kinds of training that we do in this are a lot different than training for hypertrophy or gaining muscle mass or getting lean. So I want to talk about the specific little details, the tiny stuff that really separates training style with gaining strength. So the number one most overlooked variable in gaining strength for a specific goal is the mental training aspect. Okay, there's a lot of different ways we can look at it as far as structuring overall training program, structuring your overall nutrition program and supplementation, but I want to talk about the mental aspect and how that plays a really important role. Now, if your end goal or your goal skill is something that you've never done before in your entire life, you need to structure all of your training above and below that end goal. And when I say above and below, I mean doing exercises that show your body and show your brain that you can do more than what that end goal is, and then train with a high volume the majority of our time spent below in getting stronger. So let's use an example. Your end goal is a planche, your end goal is an iron cross, your end goal is a 500-pound squat, your end goal is a 400-pound bench press, or whatever it may be. We need to structure a training program below, right? So if the end goal is a 400-pound bench press or a planche, obviously you can't do that yet, so you can't just jump up and do planches all day long. So we have a training program below where we're doing 60 to 85% of our max ability. We're cycling high volume, high resistance, and we're moving those variables back and forth. But then we need to dedicate time to retrain our brains that the end goal is achievable. And the way that we do that is by doing the end goal with reduced resistance or with help. Let's take planche for an example. If we want to be able to learn a full planche, the idea is that we need to train all these exercises that get our planche muscles stronger, right? We need to train all these exercises that teach us the planche and teach us the skill of the planche. But ever so often, we do need to practice the planche, practice something above the end goal of the planche so we can break through that mental threshold and that ceiling of us trying to accomplish something. And we've all experienced it in our life when we're trying to accomplish certain things, right? We're trying to accomplish that one thing. We make it so it almost seems impossible, right? We build our entire life around accomplishing this goal, which is great because then all of our efforts are geared towards getting better at that goal. But then in the end, sometimes what we do is we create this stigma that it's impossible. So I always like to do mental training, breaking through that threshold. And the way that I do that is I go above. So take the planche. We build a training plan below. Now we do straight body, full planche, which is the end goal, and we do it with weight on top of us, even harder than what that end goal is going to be. We're going to do that with assistance, right? So we're going to do the weight on top of us. Let's say that we load the weight on our upper back. Obviously, that's not going to completely mimic that planche, but the upper back is experiencing more stress than the end goal. We make it easier in some way so it's achievable, right? So somebody's holding our feet, but we have more weight on the upper back. Teaches the brain that we're able to handle the load on the upper back more than we're trying to accomplish with that end goal. Then the next day we can switch it, add more weight on the feet than we'll be in that end goal, right? And then get assistance in the chest or whatever it may be to make that achievable. Then we're breaking through that mental threshold, that barrier, getting above what that end goal is as well. Then when you combine those variables and the body says, oh, the end goal is a straight planche, but I can do more weight on my upper back than the planche. I can do more weight on my feet than the planche. You take that aspect, the mental aspect of breaking through that mental threshold, and then combine it with a consistent training plan paired with proper nutrition and supplementation, that is the best way to achieve that end goal. You have to go above. So just keep that in mind. Don't keep building to that end goal, having that end goal be the pinnacle. We need days where mentally we go above. And I'm going to give you an example of what I've done recently in my life. You're going to see a vlog coming out really soon about it, but every so often, I'll design a training day that's completely insane. And the reason why I do it is because it breaks through that mental ceiling, that mental threshold. So on Saturday, I designed a training program, all bodyweight stuff using rings and parallettes, handstand push-ups, different things like that. But it was 53 straight minutes of drop sets and supersets to the point where I felt like I was going to throw up. Okay? Central nervous system shock for sure. It was super hard and super challenging. And the reason why I did that, I didn't necessarily think it was the right thing for my body at the time. It wasn't wrong, but it wasn't something that I felt my body needed. It absolutely was something that I felt that my mind needed. And when I went above and beyond what I thought I was capable of, I can tell you right now, already at the beginning of this week, the way I'm approaching different things that I've had in my life with these physical end goals, it's definitely different It's more achievable. I've experienced this in gymnastics, trying to learn a gymnastic skill, the Azarian to Maltese, the roll to Maltese, a coveted skill, F value, so really high in gymnastics. Something that was really hard for me, but when I learned it and I told myself that I can do it, and I started strapping a weight belt on myself and attempting it, and putting on a weight vest and attempting it, then it was so easy. It was something that I could do all the time because I pushed past emotionally and mentally what that end goal was. So that's just the training aspect. I didn't go too deep. I'm sorry, that's just the mental aspect. I didn't go too deep into the training or nutrition aspect of how to train for that end goal. But don't forget about that mental aspect. Make sure you're building a plan above what that end goal is and continue to implement that in your day. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Instagram and YouTube, if you have any questions, now's a good time. Instagram, to comment your questions, I'll answer them for you right here, right now. YouTube, when you have questions, just make comments below because I always check them out. So go ahead, Instagram. I'm going to scroll up a little bit and see some of the questions you guys dropped in here. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their Tuesday. I am. Santa Monica. It's gorgeous. All right, let's see. Just a couple hellos. Thailand, what's up, Thailand? Hopefully we're all doing well. I saw some regular names pop up in here. The secret is never surrendering before achieving that goal. That's absolutely true. That's definitely an important variable, but I like to try to keep it as actionable as possible and to put that, right, that concept into action. Never give up, never surrender. That is doing something that breaks through mentally and emotionally, right? Those are our barriers. It's not physical. It's mental and it's emotional, and the way to do that is to structure something that's harder than that end goal and implementing that. Great comment. Great comment. Very good. Hey, Brandon, how do you balance gymnastics and weightlifting? How do you arrange the schedule so that you aren't too sore from weightlifting to have a good training session or vice versa? Cheers. Awesome question, and I'm going to relate that to the subject matter, balancing weightlifting and bodyweight training with the mental preparation of an end goal. The reason why I do both, and I don't talk about this too much, so this is a really good question, but the reason why I do both is because with gymnastics training and bodyweight training, there really is a huge mental aspect, right? And you're trying to achieve something that the body doesn't feel that it can do. You're trying to float off the ground, right? You're trying to do a really hard strength skill that your body's never been able to do before. I like to do weight training because I can reinforce something simple that I achieve over and over and over again, right? Take a bench press for an example. Now, depending on how much weight you're using and how strong you are, the fundamentals of a bench press are very achievable. Just use the bar, right? You can go down and come back up. That's positive reinforcement. That's showing your body that you're setting out to do something physical and you're able to achieve it. I think that's really beneficial. And the reason why I do weightlifting and implement other than the physical aspect, because I think there's a ton of physical benefit, is to teach myself and reinforce over and over and over again, yes, I'm achieving, yes, I'm achieving, yes, I can pour all of my physical, mental, and emotional effort into a simple exercise and achieve day in and day out, right? And then when I do that, I take that mindset and I take that approach right into doing something body weight related, and I feel that it's really beneficial. The way that I balance that is by making sure all goal skills, end goal, planche, iron cross, inverted cross, whatever it may be, all goal skills are done fresh, and I'm testing myself fresh. So I do it at the beginning of the week. I do it before I do any kind of weight training or hypertrophy training or any intense training at all. I make sure that I do that fresh because the mental reinforcement, the approach when I go towards that end goal or end skill, it's the best that it could possibly be, right? And if you attempt it tired all the time, I do have pre-exhaustion days where I do it tired, but if you attempt it tired all the time, you're teaching yourself that it's not achievable. I do it fresh. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are really set for just testing fresh, something new if I'm trying to learn something new. The rest of the week is breaking down the body, fueling, and regrowing for the beginning of next week to be stronger and more capable. Really good question. I got a whole bunch of hearts popping up, so I think you guys like that answer. Hopefully it's relatable to your situation. I'm training for a color run, 5K, after my knee surgery, and I haven't run past a mile and a half. Any advice for the mental part of the race? Absolutely. Absolutely. So first, we do need to be physically prepared. No way around that. We got to be physically prepared. So you got to make sure that you can handle mile and a half, right? And I think that a 5K is 3.1 miles or something along those lines. So you should make sure that you're able to run that. Now, I do think that adrenaline and the hype of the competition in the moment will take you through, but mentally you need to know that that's something achievable. My suggestion to you would be, if you're scared to just get out there and run 3 miles before the race, do something that to you is just as hard as running 3 miles, but it's a bit of a different angle and accomplish that, right? Pick something else and accomplish that. There's a lot of different machines out there. There's ellipticals. There's something I used to use at the Olympic Training Center where you run and it kind of supports you a little bit and takes away the gravity, so to say. That's what they call it. But do something that's achievable, that you thought was hard, that you're able to accomplish. You can push past that threshold, that mental ceiling, and then when you go to approach and run 3.1, it'll be something that you can do as long as you're physically prepared. So I would suggest doing 3.1 before the race, and I would suggest challenging yourself in other ways and saving your body at the same time. Good question. How long does it usually take to get an Iron Cross? Loaded question. I'll relate it back to the end goal. It really depends on how much time you're going to devote, right? Physical preparedness, mental, emotional, training, nutrition, everything. Like how much are you really going to devote towards it? And then are you going to have a coach throughout the process? I'm a huge advocate of coaches, right? I've had one for 21 years of my life, right, as an athlete. And I think that if you're somebody that's not well versed in the area, you need a coach to show you if time is something that's important to you. Now, if you want to take this journey and take a long time to learn something and go through the journey yourself, that's fine, but that's not the fastest way to accomplish it. So if you find a coach, right, they set you up with a good plan, and you delegate, a high priority, a high amount of time to this every single day, I think it's doable for anybody within a reasonable period of time. But I don't know your starting point, how physically strong you are, how mentally tough you are, all those things. So there's really no way. I don't even want to guess on trying to give you a time frame on how long it would take you to learn the Iron Cross. Surgery for patellar tendonitis, back to the runner. Okay. In the end of the day, it still comes down to the same variables. You need to be physically prepared. You need to be emotionally ready to accomplish that end goal. Just kill those two variables. That's really what it comes down to. Nice, man. Good advice. Thank you. I hope it helped you out. What's up, Brazil? I want to make a quick comment here, Brazil. I've been getting a couple inquiries to come down there and do a clinic in Brazil. We do bodyweight strength and calisthenics. If you're interested in that, send me a DM after this or an email. We're trying to get together a group and find a gym to do that in. How do you maintain focus? So many things to learn and time is limited. Should I try everything at once or should I have a plan? Yes, awesome question. First, wait a minute. Is this Duran? It says Duran, and I'm looking at the picture. That's just zooming in on my face. Well, if this is my boy Duran, what's up, man? I got to call you soon, actually. But how to maintain focus? That's a really good question, Duran. And you know personally, if this is Duran, you know personally that's actually one of my biggest obstacles, is trying to set something up where I can focus on just what I'm trying to attack at that time and not have too many things on the plate. But I have affirmations that I look at every single day, something that I read in the morning to refocus me. And on that list, I have the immediate tasks that I'm trying to accomplish. And below that, I have what I think those tasks are going to get me, which is relatable to me in my life, right? If that's going to, create a period of time where I'm really happy from achieving those tasks, or it's going to help me build my community, where I'm able to reach out to more people and inspire and change the way that they approach things. I make sure that I wake up every single morning, I focus myself on those tasks, and I promise you, if you think you can handle 3, you can probably only handle 1 in my experience, right? If you're attacking 7, you'll probably get nowhere in any of them. Just take a task, write it down, read that every single morning, and below, write down what that task is going to get you. And then it reinforces, okay, this is the task that I'm approaching today. This is why I've decided to focus on this task. When you do it that way, for me, it's really relatable, keeps me locked in. And I drift throughout the day, right? I see an opportunity or I see something that I want to dive into or something that's exciting. I reread that and it tells me what I should be focusing on and why that's the thing that's important to me right now in my life. So that's how I handle it, but it's always an ongoing thing. The seed, the thing that gets us past this and through all of these different times of transition is the ability and the effort to keep moving forward. That's it. If we don't quit, we'll get it. If we don't quit, we'll get it. It's for sure. I say this all the time, YouTube, and I say this all the time, but the group that I started with in gymnastics, right? I mean, I don't know how many little young guys. We were 7 years old, something along those lines. But we started with a ton of people. Let's say 50, right? And in the end of the day, I'm just the guy that didn't quit, right? Some people quit when we were 10 and 13 and 15 and 17 and quit before college and did 2 years of college and then quit gym. I'm just the guy that didn't quit. That's it. I really am. Now I'm 28 years old, right? I'm the guy that didn't quit. Now, I achieved great things, and obviously there's a lot of hard work that went into that, but none of that is possible if I quit. So first things first, we can't quit. We have to keep pushing forward and then keep looking to other people or inspiration or situations that give us new ideas on how to evolve. Love that. What frequency do you train weights weekly? Good question. If the end goal is to build more muscle mass, I train weights really frequently, probably 4 or 5 times a week. If it's not, and I'm just using weights to help with body weight training, then it would be more like 3, 4 times a week maybe, and just in complementary areas and strengthening the muscles that are most used in planches and pulling and muscle ups and whatever the end goal is. And you guys, some good questions. Does stretching help with running? Absolutely. Stretching helps with everything. If there is a range of motion that we need, like the actual range of motion for that exercise is 5, flexibility needs to be 7 or 8, right? It needs to be past that. And the reason why is because then we open up the door for our ability to adjust in certain situations, because everything's not perfect. We're not running on a treadmill, uneven surfaces, things like that. So we do need some leeway or extra space and flexibility. Huge for everything. Paulie, what's up, man? Hopefully you're doing well. Got to catch up with all you guys really soon. Always when I'm feeling really sore, I take a day free or go out for a run. Is this a good strategy, or could I train something completely different? I do not mean unload weeks, which is another thing. Great question, and thanks for coming on, man. I love reposting your videos on some of the Bodyweight Bootcamp and the In Motion Gym Instagram. But yeah, it's a really good idea. The goal, right, at active recovery when you're really sore is to get blood flow, get the body sweating, and get the body pumping and moving, right? And if we think about what recovery is, our body naturally recovers. That's why the idea was to take time off in between these different training sessions. Our body's going to recover itself. It knows what to do, right? But if we're slowing down that metabolic process, we're slowing down the body by laying in a bed, recovery is going to be slowed down. So by running, you're getting blood in the area. I think it's really good to run, sweat, get blood flow to recover. I took it as far as looking at an individual muscle group that I smashed the day before. Like I did a bunch of planches, my shoulders hurt, my biceps hurt. I took it as far as looking at shoulder exercises and bicep exercises, using really light weight where I wasn't breaking down muscle mass and pumping as much blood into the area as possible. I was doing like 5 sets of 100 reps, like filling the area with blood and then cooling down immediately. And I felt that that really accelerated the recovery process for me. So whatever it is for you, try it. But active recovery is without a doubt, no question, superior to doing passive recovery where we're laying in a bed all day. Okay, so really good point. I'm going to try to answer maybe 2 more. I'm 17 minutes in on this YouTube video, so 2 more. Okay, I'm going to answer this one because it's different. Normally, do you make macro cycles for competition, or do you work within many micro cycles? So for anybody out there that doesn't know what that means, a macro cycle would be a big overall plan, right? Structuring a training plan or whatever the plan is for 3 months at a time, or micro cycles could be even week plans, something that's really small. Now, the way that I approach it is I make micro cycles to make a macro cycle, but it's always adjustable. Now, I think it's okay to be adjustable at this point in my career because I've been through a lot of different things, and I think I can be honest and objective with myself. Now, if you're a beginner or you're new to what you're doing, my suggestion would be go in between, right? Go in between a micro and a macro cycle. Do something that's not that long, maybe 4 weeks, but follow it 100%, and then draw conclusions. That's what I did. A lot of you already know my story, but I'm a huge advocate of tracking training and nutrition. I did that, tracked all of my training and nutrition for years in a notebook. I would write down the date on the top, write down my training, write down how I was feeling, look at certain periods of success, and then highlight different areas that worked for me and then draw conclusions from that. And that's how ultimately I construct all of my training plans, was from actual real results that I learned from myself striving for the goals that I had. So my suggestion would be go in between, right? Go in between a micro and a macro cycle, but follow it to the T to draw conclusions. The only way to draw conclusions in training, nutrition, mental, whatever it may be, is to hold all variables at a constant and manipulate one at a time. You manipulate that one variable, you draw a conclusion about that one variable, and then you move on to testing and looking into other variables and how to change. But if we're always having these moving parts, right, we're making these microcycles, we're changing day to day, there's no way we can draw conclusions. We don't get traction and progress. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, I'm going for one more, then I'm out. Hopefully this was really helpful. Thanks for the answer. Love to see this live. It helped a lot. Huge from Brazil. Cool, man. Yeah, if you got any gyms down there or hook up with some of the other guys I've been talking to, DM me because I'd love to come down there and do a clinic. Looks like we're trying to set up a couple clinics around. We're going international, so that doesn't sound like too bad of a plan, right? Travel around, have some fun, teach some people some cool things. What else? What else, guys? Last question, next one to pop up that's unique is getting answered. Kyle, what's up, man? Your question's getting answered. For a busy schedule, what kind of workouts would you recommend? Good question. Workouts where we time rest period. Number one, there's never a reason, in my opinion, for the majority of us out there to be working out on a specific muscle group if we're talking about weightlifting for more than 30 to 40 minutes. If we're timing rest period and it's under 60 seconds, there's no way you're going that hard for 60 seconds at an effort level of 8 or 9 out of 10, and you're still doing something good for the muscle group. So if I were you, I would time rest periods. I would work out intensely, and I would do it in the morning for a 30-minute period. Do that in the morning, kind of coast through. If you can sneak back in the gym to get a couple extra minutes of something that's fun for you or do some sort of activity in the afternoon, that'll set you up. But that's how I live. I wake up, I work out in the morning, and then anything I can do later on is a bonus. Thanks for coming on, guys. YouTube, thanks for watching. Hopefully that was good content for you. If you have any questions on YouTube, comment below. Make sure you subscribe. Instagram, if you have any questions that I didn't answer, comment on one of my most recent photos, and I will answer you there, or you can DM me or email me. Thanks for coming on, guys. I'll see you soon. See you later, YouTube. Like I mentioned, any questions that I didn't answer about that subject matter, make sure you comment. I'm going to check and make sure I answer those questions for you. All right, train hard. Enjoy your week.